Okay, let's try this again. We were asking the question based on the performance of President Trump. I don't know, we had some issues with the communication here, but we're asking the question based on the performance of President Trump, the favorable views of him from the Republican Party, people on the right. Make no mistake about it, there are still a lot of supporters that identify as MAGA. But considering that the January 6th Hearings Committee, as of yesterday, recommended Trump be charged criminally, we're asking the question, do you believe the Republican Party would be better off if they abandoned President Trump? Or is it still in their best interest to stick with Trump moving forward in 2024 in regards to toppling the Biden administration? Should they abandon Trump? Or should they stick with him? Now, in the comments, Mulatto Prince says MAGA is not a group. It's a movement. MAGA is a movement. There is no doubt you can talk to individuals, ask them, do you identify as MAGA? And they would say, yeah, it's a movement. There are people who support Trump. They support the notion of making America great again from a manner in which Trump has promoted and suggested. Looking in the comments, no. His ego was too high. If they keep Trump for Republican candidate, they ain't going to win, says Jesus Peace Lover. How many others agree with that sentiment, that the Republicans would have a chance for 2024, but not if they keep Trump? And I see in the comments, Jay Tats is saying MAGA is a cult. I'm not going to suggest that all folks Donald Trump is a cult. That's a little strong. Are there cult-like members in MAGA? Yeah, but not all of them. All right, going back to the box. It is the Black Wing Zero.
Leave that man
does not look
fucking
good
dust.
Afternoon.
Here's the thing. Handsome liberal, I'm going like this. You know I love you, bro. But I'm going like this, man. Trump need to go. Trump needs to go. I have said this to the... Here's the thing. Many people don't know this. I was a Republican when Trump was running against Hillary. I left both parties because basically I had no faith. I did it as a social experiment. I was going like, hey, Republicans, this is what we have to choose. I'm going like, Republicans, pick the best candidate that can work for both parties. I have said this on your live before. I will say it again. Pick a candidate that can physically work with both parties so y'all can come to making America great for fucking once. It's never been great. I don't care what people have been saying. It's always been great. Name me a period in time. Please, can you all name me a period in time? Because I'm black. We have a damn harsh history in this country and saying this basically, it ain't been great for us. It ain't been great now. Even a Trump for the last 4 years. So I'm going like this. Leave that man in the dust. If you put first of all of his handpicked candidates all got their ass whooped. All of them. Herschel Walker was the last.
Well, he did have a lot of lower ballot candidates win, though.
Okay, lower ballot candidates. Okay. Yeah. The only one that's the survived was Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's the only one that survived. And I'm still wondering why. That woman's a nut job.
It's her location, where she's located at. There's a lot of far-right people. I mean, the Marjorie Taylor Greene, her mindset or her politics are far-right, and she lives in a district that probably has a hell of a lot of far-right people in it.
Here's the thing, though. Hearing her speak, I'd rather hear Herschel Walker talk about werewolves and vampires. Like, seriously. Let's keep it real. And y'all really thought that y'all was going to have... No, yeah. I really want to say this. MAGAs, y'all really thought that basically a football store that Lily has everything that y'all against was going to win against a pastor in Georgia. I'm going like that.
Well, but it's the policy. Yeah, but it's the policies at the end of the day. If you get Herschel Walker there, we can say Herschel Walker is uneducated or whatever reason you want to give him, but he's supporting pro-Second Amendment. He's supporting pro-life. He's supporting the tenets of the Republican Party. They're not going to vote for Warnock.
If you say you pro-life, you pay for 4 abortions? If you say you basically pro-father in the household, you got 4 kids outside the household. If you say you're anti basic domestic violence, we have seen you confess to basically this. Dude, you are lying your ass off.
All
Are you
right, take it
serious?
easy. Take it easy on me. Take it easy. You're killing me. Okay, fair enough. All right, Herschel Walker was a bad idea. I get your point. So if they abandon Trump, who else could step up on the Republican side of the aisle and be competitive?
Here's one. Here's one. I can't say Ron DeSantis because Ron DeSantis lean towards him. Cause they will pick him as here's the thing. They will pick him as a candidate and he will get his ass whooped. I would think probably I'm
You
just going
think
like
so?
this. I would think Mitt Romney, because we can work with Rick, we can work with Mitt. Mitt is workable. But Mitt, when he ran against Obama, that was a bad call. He should have basically ran against Trump. He probably would have won. He probably would have won.
Yeah, but wait a
Um,
minute. Mitt Romney is like, what is the Gabby? What is the woman? The woman who, not Gabby. What is the girl's name that recently switched from Democrat to Republican? Tulsi Gabbard. To me, Mitt Romney for Republicans is like Tulsi Gabbard for liberals. The Republicans do not like Mitt Romney, other than in his state.
I'm just going like this. Can we get here's the thing. I don't know. I basically haven't followed the Republican Party, but I'm going like this though. I do like Mick. I do like Ron Paul. Ron Paul could be workable. Could be workable. I'm going like this. It's just basically the fact that we need a candidate that can work with work parties. Trump was not it.
Yeah.
Trump was trying to literally bully the Democratic Party and didn't work. And it didn't work. And we were basically up shit creek.
Okay. All right. Last question before I move it on. Who do we have from the left? If you're suggesting that Trump could never work with both parties, on the
I,
left side of the aisle, who do we have that you believe would be good to work with both sides?
Here's what I'm saying about the Democratic Party. We need a younger candidate. I say
Give me a name.
I can't say AOC. AOC is too social. No, we got too social. I can't say basically. Oh fuck! I can't say Ilhan Omar. She got a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I can't say Cory Booker. Cory Booker kissed too much ass. Uh, uh.
What's wrong with that? Kennedy and Bill Clinton, they both got a lot of ass and they did all right.
Yeah, but he's a beta. He would not. He would literally fall under the damn. Here's the thing: the Republican Party is a bullying party. We need a party. Here's the thing: we need somebody that can physically step up to say, "Hey, I'm the motherfucking president. Everything I say goes." And Joe Biden is not in. I can say
You
seriously,
won't.
for all y'all MAGAs, Joe Biden's not in. I didn't even vote for the. I didn't even vote for the man, and I lean left. So I'm going like this. Um, who's a strong Democratic candidate?
Do you think Michelle Obama could pull it off?
Michelle don't want the shot. She don't want the
Right, right.
she don't want it.
That is true. What about Gavin Newsom out of California?
Gavin is young and he is my governor, but I'm going like this though. No. Probably I'm thinking probably this right. I think probably Warnock, probably Stacey Abram.
Warnock for president? Are you said Warnock for president? You think he's ready
Here's
for
the
that?
reason. Here's the reason why. He will have a Christian backing. That's the only reason why. That's the
You know
only
they
reason why. And this 86% of this country is Christian. So I'm going like this. They would look towards that. Especially he would definitely get the black Christian vote. But
No, yeah, but I don't think Warnock is the guy. But maybe I'm wrong. I gotta move it on, Black Wing.
all right.
Appreciate you coming through. Good talk. All right, look, that's what we're asking today, folks. At the end of the day, it looks like, well, not it doesn't look like it's been confirmed. The January 6th hearing committee has recommended Trump be criminally charged. So with all of that orbiting around him, not here to say if he's guilty or not, the man is entitled to his day in court. But with that going on in the middle of a presidential campaign, because next year, 2023, probably around June, this stuff is going to be in full swing. You're going to have all of the chances of Biden being primaried are pretty good, and obviously they're not going to let Trump run alone. So by around June of 2023, you're going to have other Republican candidates entering the race. So what I'm asking, with Trump being in the middle of potentially a criminal investigation, is it in the best interest of the Republican Party to abandon Trump and seek leadership from someone else? Or should they stick with Trump, who a lot of folks on the right favor because of his economy, the jobs numbers, and things like that? Should they continue rolling with Trump, or should they abandon him outright in favor of someone else that does not come with all the baggage? Looking in the comments, I am a Trump supporter and I hope they charge him. Discovery is a beautiful thing. Wow. You are a Trump supporter and you actually hope that Trump is charged. I didn't expect to get that. By the way, tap the screen, folks. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. This is a MAGA-friendly program. Liberals are welcome. I do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Give you plenty of time in the box to state your point, regardless if you agree or disagree. Doesn't mean a damn thing. It's all about free speech. Looking at, it is New Jersey Nightmare. Good afternoon and welcome back, Nightmare. What do you think? You think they should keep Trump on the ballot or they should move on?
I say let him keep it. As a matter of fact, if DeSantis runs as well, Biden wins. This is the part where the Republican Party starts destroying themselves. It's a snake eating itself.
You think Biden could beat DeSantis?
I think Biden can beat just about any Republican at this point. I don't see any Republican really that's going to be able to grab anybody of the independent vote, anybody of the independent crowd. They're not going to grab any of the leftists. They're not going to grab any independents. They're pretty much strictly on their own.
That's interesting you would say that, because it seems like there is a substantial amount of Democrats that do not want Biden to seek re-election, whether it's age, whether they're not happy with him, or whatever the case may be. But you're saying that Biden has the gumption to be able to beat any Republican running?
The Republicans are doing the damage by themselves. They don't have a real platform. Their platform is not about solving any problems of today's society. Their problem is about bigotry, hatred, and exposing the difference between people. They're not uniting anybody. All they do is divide people. That's all they're doing right now. You can't bring both.
I have to ask, is that division coming from the Republican Party, or is it Trump-oriented?
Both, really. Because you have protesters going after drag shows. You've got all sorts of nonsense coming from the Republicans of complaining about this and that, culture war. But they're not bringing anything to the table to fix the problems of today's society. They're not bringing any ideas on how to tax the super rich so they finally pay their fair share while everybody else is paying more than what they could really afford. They're not doing anything for the...
Okay, so I want to run this by you coming straight out of the comments, because you obviously got criticisms for the right. Mulatto Prince asks, and how is the left doing any better? How would you respond when you're pointing out the flaws of the right to someone who's saying, well, what is the left doing?
Well, we could talk about Biden's infrastructure plan that got passed. We could talk about a bunch of things that he's gotten passed. But listen, he's doing a lot better. But I'll be the first to admit, I don't want him to run again in 24 either. If he's the last guy standing on the Democratic Party, I'm going to vote for him. But I'd rather have somebody else. I'd rather have somebody young and on the outside.
Then that's what I don't get is you started out by saying Biden could beat just about any Republican. But then you finish off by saying, I don't want him to run again. If somebody on the left is that powerful that they could beat any Republican, why would you not want that individual to run again?
Because I want somebody new and fresh. I'm done with establishment politicians. Politicians have been in power for way too long. I want a true outsider. But like I said, at the end of the day, if he's the last one standing when it comes to the final, vote, yeah, I'm going to go with Biden simply because I don't have any other choice. I don't want any Republican occupying the White House for the next 30 years after January 6th. Too many of these guys looked the other way, denied what happened, saying, oh, just another day of tourism. Really? Bashing in windows, wiping fecal across the wall, dropping the American flag, walking around with a Confederate flag. No, we're done. We're done. We're done.
So before I move on, if you don't want Biden to go in, give me another liberal that you feel is young blood and could beat any Democrat like you're suggesting Biden could do. Give me somebody young that measures up to where you're promoting Biden.
The problem is I want to say Newsom of California, the governor of California. Problem is he's already made public he's not going to run in 24. So I'm like, oh, great. Other than him, There's someone who I'd want, and there's someone who could win. And that's the problem. There are people I want that I already know they're not going to win. For example, I could say I want AOC to run and win, but we both know that's not going to happen. She could run, but she doesn't have a hell's bells chance in winning. Same thing with Sanders, sadly. Well, Sanders would probably have a little bit better chance, but his own party screwed him over not once, but twice.
But wait a minute. You said one of the reasons you want Biden not to run is you want somebody younger. You're going up with Bernie Sanders. He's even older.
True, but at least he's a real. But he's been speaking the same message for the last 40 years. He's never changed his his policies or opinions in 40 years. The guy's never flip flop with nothing.
Yeah, but he's speaking the same message for the last 40 years, but he may not be alive for the next 5. You don't want Bernie Sanders, right? I mean, you really want to go to a guy in his mid-80s?
Yeah, I hear you. Like I said, in a perfect world, AOC, or maybe somebody else who hasn't shown real. Well, actually, Raskin was another good one. There's a couple other people in the Democratic Party that I'm starting to like right now, but I don't know. We're still talking really early about 24. We're still 2 years away.
Right. Okay, fair enough. All right, I got to move it on. Come on back through, Nightmare. Always a pleasure.
All right, Brother Handsome. You have a great day.
You too. You too. Good. All right, look. And it does seem a bit baffling because there are so many folks on the left that while believing Biden is competitive, and like the last caller suggested, could beat any Republican that ran. I don't know if I agree with that at all, but the last caller suggested that Biden could beat any Republican that ran for office, but he doesn't want him to run. And then when I asked him, well, give me another candidate, he's going through candidates and not as clear. If you have a clear-cut winner, I have to ask folks on the left, why not go with the guy who can win? I just wanted to find that out. Looking in the comments, Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg, I don't know if he has the recognition. I mean, obviously people know him because he ran for office in 2020, but he didn't do very well. He's only been a mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and since then he's worked in the Biden administration. I don't know if Pete Buttigieg is ready for prime time. However, he is young. He is snappy on the mind. He has a military background. He's LGBT. I don't know how that would play into a presidential election coming from independents and folks on the right. Obviously, on the left, it's a plus to be LGBT, but on the right, it's not. And in the middle, it can go either way. Looking in the box, it is Charlie. Charlie, welcome to the program. Charlie, we asking, in regards to Trump now potentially facing criminal charges at the recommendation of the January 6th hearings committee, would it be in the best interest of Republicans to abandon him and seek a different leader going forward?
I don't think so. I think
So you think
he has the mind, and this is my opinion. You got to be, state things are opinion and not fact. But I think he is the one who can fix what's been done in the last couple of years and more.
But do you think he would be because there's a lot of Republican detractors at this point. I mean, not to mention him suggesting Ron DeSantis is Ron DeSanctimonious and things like that. Do you think he could get that part of his act straight so that he could do what you're suggesting?
I believe if anybody can do it, he can do it.
So you think he could drop the name calling and the rhetoric and the tweets and actually focus on running the country?
I hope I have supported him since he announced the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he says what's on his mind, but also I was not a fan of the 2 or 3 a.m. tweets. I was like, somebody take his phone and make him go to bed.
But is there anybody to do that now? If he's with his campaign going on now, is there anybody that can do that?
I don't know. Time will tell. Now, we're talking about other people too. And I know
Sure.
the previous guy was just talking about people from the other side of the aisle. I'm actually registered independent, but I have conservative values and lean conservative.
Okay.
But I believe that Trey Gowdy would be an awesome candidate one year. I would love to see him run. I don't think he ever would, but Trey Gowdy is phenomenal. I think he would be a good president.
What about someone, if obviously I lean left, but if I would look at someone that's not a bomb thrower, like a Nikki Haley. Now, I don't buy into my first caller saying Mitt Romney. I don't think the right would even come close to supporting a Mitt Romney. But I
No.
do believe someone like Nikki Haley, who has, I mean, she had some affiliation with Trump for the first 2 years. She got away from that, but she got away from it on a good term, on a good note. So she's not, she doesn't have any animosity towards the Trump administration, but at the same time, she's not walking around the country carrying the MAGA or Trump label with her. So I would suggest someone like that. You don't see any. Go ahead.
I don't know if they would have the support, but a couple people that I like would be like just no namers. Well, they're not. They have names, but not in necessarily so much in politics. I mean, Candace Owens would be one. She has a name in politics, but it's not like a politician. She's not a politician really. She's never
Well,
been a politician.
but she's also a bomb thrower. I mean, the reason Trump is not in office right now is not his policies, or not how. I mean, even liberals are not complaining about $2 a gallon gas or a good economy. It's the bombs. It's the tweets. Candace Owens is in the same camp. So if you replace Trump with Candace Owens, you're going to have the same. And not only that, but Candace Owens is not the great businessman and all the other things that you liked about Trump.
Another one I like would be Colin Noir. I don't know if he'd ever get into politics.
The NRA guy. I'd have to see more from Colin on his politics. We know he likes guns, but
Yeah.
just like Candace Owens. We know Candace Owens like holding black people accountable for bad things they do. That's about the main gist of Candace Owens. Colin Noir is a gun guy. I don't know what he thinks about the Ukraine, or, what he thinks about $15 an hour minimum wage or abortion. He'd have to come out of the woodwork and state a hell of a lot of points first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but just the material I've watched on him, and I've picked up bits and pieces here that give me an inkling, into that insight. I really feel like he would be a good person to.
Yeah, well, like I said, I got to hear more of his. At least he's not throwing bombs. He does not like you interfering with his Second Amendment rights. But outside of that, he's not, just simply throwing bombs. So. It's possible. What about Ron DeSantis, the guy who is literally the elephant in the room for the Republican Party right now?
I like, I'm independent because I don't go full either way. And my main thing is, my values. And there's things I like about him. There's a couple things I, can't even think of off the top of my head, but there was a couple times I've just been like, I don't agree with that.
Well, but in terms of right-wing policies that you might favor, if you like the policies of Trump, and most people on the right overwhelmingly like the policies that Trump was giving us, what policies did Trump give us that you don't feel confident you get out of Ron DeSantis?
There was a couple things, and like I said, I can't even think of them off the top of my head right now, but there's been a couple things where he just went a little too far up for my liking,
Okay, I'm curious because I'm a liberal. Obviously, we don't like him shipping immigrants and things like that, but that's the liberal side. To hear somebody who was independent, a Trump supporter saying that you don't like a policy of DeSantis, I would be real curious to know what that is. In the comments, the lawn sprinkler guy is asking a question, stating the point: any Republican that aligns with Trump will lose, period. How do you view that when you're suggesting that Trump should be the guy going forward for the Republican Party?
I really think that, like I said, if anybody can pull it off, he can.
What happened in the midterms? I mean, he supported a lot of losing candidates. What do you think happened there?
I wouldn't necessarily blame him for that. I would say that, that could have been, more something local or anything, because it's coming from that area, not from everywhere, like for each candidate. So
Well,
it depends on.
But here's the point I'm trying to make. I get your point that you can't control the local voters in these different geographical areas. That's fine. But I'm talking about Trump literally found someone, said, I want you to run for president or run for Senate in this environment, and the person lost, like Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker was only running for that position in Georgia because of Trump. So while I agree you can't control the voters of Georgia, you should be responsible for the candidate you picked to run in that environment.
Yeah. Well, so like our governor before the one we have now here in Kentucky, Trump endorsed him. He done a rally in Rupp Arena here in Lexington the night before the election in 19, I think it was. I was there. There was a lot of things that I liked about the governor. He was governor at the time. He was running for re-election. And he lost because of some things that he did. Like he spoke bad on the teachers because he was trying to fix the pension system that had been broken for decades. Their pension fund was dry.
Yeah, but see that, and that I understand what you're saying. That comes from not properly vetting people as well. Like with Herschel Walker, for instance, he clearly was not properly vetted. That's why people are finding all this shit from his past. If you don't vet a candidate and you just put him out there because you like him or because he's a good friend or something like that, and you don't know he got a bunch of bitches that are going to come forward, you're going to be in trouble. But I got to move it on, Charlie. I do have to keep it going. Hey, come on back through anytime, no man.
All right. It's nice to meet you, sir. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Absolutely a pleasure. Oprah for president, says Michael Lyons. I don't know if Oprah could do it at this point. I believe the power, the prominence of Oprah is in the past. I mean, not to say that Oprah's not a hugely popular figure, but I mean, I think she's gotten involved with too many left-wing policies at this point. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Oprah could do it. The Rock can, says Aquarius King. I'd have to hear The Rock speak on certain issues. Some folks have suggested Tom Hanks, these very likable celebrities. Perhaps, but we'd have to hear them speak on policies. I mean, Trump is a good example of somebody who was very likable, and then all of a sudden he started saying shit that turned people off. I don't know what The Rock or what someone like Tom Hanks might say, because make no mistake about it, Trump's biggest downfall was the things he said, which is why we're asking the question today, should the Republican Party, in light of Trump potentially facing criminal charges, should the Republican Party abandon Trump and move forward with somebody else going forward in 2024? Shantae 77. Afternoon, Shantae. Welcome back.
Let me get in my closet because my son is loud.
Okay.
He always pushes me in the closet. Okay. I have first of all, I want to give you kudos for last night. I did see you. Put this on mute. I did see you live with.
You got a TV. Your background is still pretty loud. You got a TV or something running?
Yeah. I just muted it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Is that better? Roxanne Shante. My cousin's name is Roxanne, and so we always.
Anybody who know about Roxanne Shante, you talking about the infants of hip hop. That goes all the way back.
Yes. Every time real Roxanne. They'd be like, your name Roxanne and your name is Shante. Roxanne. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, give you your kudos and your props. You and Justice did an amazing job last night. Held it down.
Appreciate you tuning in.
That. I don't know what your topic is, but I just wanted to ask you, because I know the previous caller was talking about how they are independent, but they were all of their views and talking points were MAGA and conservative. What makes you think? Because I have a theory as to why everyone decided to be independent.
Oh,
Especially
I can elaborate on that.
okay.
A couple months ago, Adam Kinzinger, the Illinois congressman that's been on the January 6th hearings committee, he stated on This Week with George Stephanopoulos a few months ago that in his opinion, and he's a Republican, in his opinion, he said in 5 years, you're going to have a difficult time finding anyone that admits they supported Trump. And the point he's trying to make is this. I always bring up the Board of Education versus Topeka, Kansas, where this black girl wanted to go to a white school, and you had all of these folks spitting on her because they didn't want her to integrate to school. Well, a lot of those folks that did not want that black girl to go to school, they're still alive today. But if you try to get any of them to come forward and admit that they were against letting a black girl go to a certain school, they wouldn't admit it because they've fallen so far on the wrong side of history that they're not going to admit that they were down for spitting on a little girl for going to school. I believe that what Kinzinger was saying is very similar to that he believes Trump and MAGA are going to fall so far on the wrong side of history that people who supported it are not going to want to admit it. That's why you got so many people who are clearly MAGA saying that they're independent. They are already starting not to admit it.
Yeah. So it's more of, do you agree that that particular side or this country in general, the extremists tend to be more concerned about their image as they are presented as opposed to what they actually are? Like a racist person is more concerned about being called out as being racist. I'm not saying this connects, but I'm saying
it's hard. I get what you're saying. It's difficult to speak on that, but we do know in America there is a lengthy, substantial history of people who were racist lying about it and saying they're not. Very few people will come up to you and say, "Hi, my name is John. I'm a racist." Even the Klan. Yeah, even the Klan will tell you we're not racist. We're just for the promotion of the white race. Or you had during the segregation era, it's not racist. They got theirs and we got ours. So it's going to always be difficult to get anybody who is racist to come out and say, yes, I am racist. They never admit it. So when you say image, yeah, I can see image.
Yeah, it's all about image. So so I just wanted to kind of get your views on it because I'm interested to know because it's like, so I can see like maybe 10, 20 years from now, everybody will go, well, I was an independent and I never voted for Trump, but I agreed with everything he said and I agreed with everything he did, but I didn't vote for him. And it's like, you're more concerned about, I've had lives where people I talked to, were like upset about being called a racist. And I'm like, if you're not a racist, why are you upset? Because it can ruin my life and my livelihood. Like, well, it sounds like you're more concerned about being categorized than actually being one. I mean, and that just kind of bothered me. I just thought I'd bring it up because I know you have a lot of MAGA people in here, and I think they should hear it. Also, please explain why you have that hat. Please explain why you have the hat.
Yeah, and I'd say that on my main, because this is my backup page for you guys who are new to this. Follow the channel, show your boy some love, helps out the algorithms. And by the way, tap the screen, get your boy up to 10,000 likes. I'd appreciate that. Why do we have the MAGA hat? I say this on every broadcast, because I do get that question quite often. The MAGA hat is because I want to let MAGA, folks who identify on the right, even though I lean left, the MAGA hat, in my opinion, is my light in the middle of the night to let MAGA know your free speech rights will always be protected on this program. Even though we may disagree, I believe MAGA is entitled to speak. Their First Amendment rights should be preserved. And I believe at the end of the day, they often do not get a fair shake when it comes to the media. They get silenced, blocked, and banned. So when they come here, the hat is to let them know, even though we don't agree, you will never be banned, blocked, or censored for your commentary here. And that's what the hat is for.
Well, I appreciate you clearing that up, and that is what I listen to your platform. It's also a beautiful thing when I come in here and I see that hat and they're in here and they are forced to hear what the hell I have to say. Well, all right, you have a good day.
All right, come on back. Good talk. Good talk,
Talk to you
Shantae.
later.
All right, Roxanne. All right, then MAGA come here and spew their stupidity. You know, stupid. I guess I would say stupidity is up to the eye of the beholder. I mean, you do have some folks on the left who talked about defunding the police and things like that. I got better yet, a Democratic candidate that identifies as they. So not he or she. Looks like the individual was a born female, but the individual is I guess, a democratic socialist that identifies as they and is running on a platform of abolishing, not defunding, abolishing the police. So I just want to say stupidity comes from both sides. I've talked to this person a few times, and they actually plan on running for president. Clearly, zero chance of winning if you ask me, but the individual identifies as they, which alone is a presidential killer. The pronouns we have today, I would submit to you that our voting public right now is not big fans of these extended pronouns. You could potentially win office being gay. The L, the B, and the G as in golf. I think if you have one of those pronouns, you can probably maintain office. Anything beyond that starts to get really gray and hazy. That's where we're at in 2022. It might change in 2024 and further out. America is progressing more in that area, but right now, the L, the B, and the G, you have a chance. All of those other letters is probably not going to be good for you. Going back to the box, Biden 2-8. If it took it there, okay. Biden, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing good. The question I'm asking is, with Trump now potentially facing criminal charges at the recommendation of the January 6th hearings committee, would it be better for the Republicans to abandon him and look for a different candidate going forward?
1,000,000%.
Do you think they will?
No, because the Republican voter's stupid.
Oh, come on. You can't group up the entire voting public on the right as all stupid. You think all Republicans are stupid?
About 70% of the Republican voter doesn't have the sense to come in out of the rain. Yes.
So, elaborate. Give me what would lead you to say that?
Donald Trump got elected and almost won again.
Well, but understand, sometimes it's not the man, but the policies. Like, for instance, if you are evangelical and you strongly believe in protecting the sanctity of life, you're going to go with any Republican. You're not going to vote a liberal in no matter what, because liberals are in favor of allowing a woman the right to choose. So sometimes it's not the man, it's the policies. They can't all be 70%, huh? That's a pretty high number.
Well, here's the problem, okay? With Republicans wanting to end things like Social Security and the food stamp program, you know that 13 of the top 15 states with the most people on federal social programs are red states, which means that Republicans continuously vote against their own interest, and they're so stupid they don't even know they're doing it.
I never could understand that, though. It's to some degree, oftentimes you do see voters doing what you said, which is voting against their own interests. But I mean, at the end of the day, isn't the food stamp programs, isn't a lot of that state oriented though? Doesn't that go up to the states?
Well, yeah, but the federal government still controls it.
Yeah.
The federal government still decides what states get more funding and all that stuff. So it's still a federally controlled program. And the thing is if you really look at it, Republicans have been voting against their own interests for a long time, because it's been Dwight D. Eisenhower is the last Republican president that didn't depress our economy. Now, I'll give you Trump's depression was due to a pandemic, and prior to Eisenhower, it was Teddy Roosevelt. So in the last 120 years, there have been two Republican presidents that didn't at least slightly depress our economy while they were in office. So economically, a Republican vote in general is terrible.
But under the Trump administration, we had a fairly good economy for a large portion of his administration.
Yeah, I said I'll give you the Trump depression was
Okay.
due to a pandemic. However, the problem is if you were I told you this I think last time, if you go to senate.gov and put the Trump economy next to the second 4 years of Obama, what you find is that Trump's economy followed the trends of the Obama economy nearly exactly, which means that Donald Trump policy actually had little to no effect on the economy whatsoever.
What do you think about Trump's handling of the border compared to Biden?
Well, I mean, first we need to establish that. Now that may change when Title 42 expires, but as of right now, the border is not actually open. There's people guarding the border. I mean, I don't know. Is the border an issue? Yes, of course the border's an issue, but it's not the issue that Republicans claim it is. Do we need 2 million migrants coming here a day? No, but the problem is, okay, if we were.
But listen to what you just said. You said it's not an issue yet.
But I'm trying to get to a point. The problem is, if we were to gather up all the illegals and throw them out, they do all the stuff that we don't want to do, like pick oranges in the Florida heat 12 hours a day for $4.50 an hour. Now, people bitching about gas prices and food prices. If we throw all the illegals out, when you go to the grocery store and a bag of oranges is $25, how are you going to feel then?
Yeah, but how do you respond to two issues? One, by letting folks in that are willing to work for these low-ass wages, they're taking away potential jobs and employment from Americans. And the other issue is crime. The folks on the right are claiming that a lot of these immigrants are committing crimes. How do you respond to those things?
Okay, so I don't believe they're taking jobs away from Americans, because those companies that they pick fruit for or clean for aren't going to pay a living wage, and ain't no American going to pick fruit for 12 hours a day for $9 or $10 an hour.
But Biden, you got to know that every illegal immigrant in this country is not coming to pick fruit. Some of these guys are getting factory jobs.
I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying for the most part, they do the jobs Americans don't want to do.
But I got to disagree with that. They're doing hotel work. They're doing factory work. They're doing lawn care. Some of these jobs actually pay a decent wage. They're in construction. They're not just picking fruit.
I didn't say they're just picking fruit. I know they do all kinds of stuff, but in general, most illegals, it's migrants that are here legally that are working construction and stuff. Most illegals do jobs that natural-born Americans don't want to do. Have you ever been to California? Have you ever been to California and seen the fields and fields and fields full of nothing but Mexicans?
Yeah, but I've been in California dozens of times, but I will say, being from Chicago, we have illegals in Chicago, and they're not in fields picking fruit. I mean, they're working in factories.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that's all they do. But I'm saying for the most part, they do jobs that we don't want to do. And most of the ones working construction or something where they're getting a legal paycheck are migrants that came here the right way.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that from living in Chicago, but maybe you're right. But I got to move it on, Don. Appreciate it as always, man.
All right,
come on
have
back.
A good day.
You too. In the comments, Bionic Man Keith said they're working in kitchens. That's another area. I mean, let's just be honest. Let's say you got a family, because a lot of illegals that come to the country have family that's already here. Maybe the person that's coming did not get their visa information straight. Maybe they can't afford to go through the process. Maybe they got a criminal history in their home country, or maybe they don't want to stand in the line that takes 20 years. So they're trying to get into America. And they have family that is already here, that is here legally. You're going to tell me if that family does not own a restaurant or something, they wouldn't give them an under-the-table job? That's all I'm simply suggesting, is that a lot of illegals come here, and as my last caller was stating, like George W. Bush stated, a lot of illegals do jobs no Americans want to do. While I agree with that, I would counter by saying a lot of them are taking away jobs from Americans as well. They're not all picking fruit or working for $2 an hour. Some of them are actually doing jobs that Americans would do. And I guess we could probably bring up the fact of a supply and demand. If you throw a bunch of folks who are willing to work for cheaper into the country, are we to believe that's not going to affect overall wages at all? I don't know. Looking in the comments, or better yet, the box. It is John Coles. John R. Cos, welcome back to the program. John, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you doing? We had a disconnect the other day. We had a disconnect the other day.
It happens. It happens on TikTok in particular. But asking the question, would Trump potentially facing criminal charges at the behest of the January 6th hearings committee? Should the Republicans abandon him for a different candidate moving forward?
They're going to have to. They're going to have to, because Trump is in such deep right now. And Trump even knows how deep he is. They're going to have to. And then they're going to get Ron DeSantis. That's who I think they'll get next, and he'll lose. Ron DeSantis has a lot of baggage that people have not heard about yet.
Like
There's
what?
a lot of baggage, like torture and Gitmo. Torture and Gitmo. He was when he was in the military, they sent him down to Gitmo because there was torture. He was supposed to be the man to stop it. He wasn't the man to stop it.
I don't know how you put the mission of the military. I don't know if you proved that. I mean, I would assume some of that stuff would probably be deemed classified. How can you prove he was in on that?
He's in on it because some of the prisoners are talking about it.
Yeah, but you're going to believe it.
They're talking about it openly.
Yeah, but you're going to take the word of an ex-con over his prison guard? I mean, of course a prisoner is going to be anti-Ron DeSantis.
Oh, no. Ron DeSantis hired to do a job to make sure that those prisoners were not tortured. He did nothing. They were tortured. They said, we told them what happened to us, and then they poured it on even more. And he stood by and he watched it. Wow. You know, to me, a prisoner is still a human being.
But when it comes to America, I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. With the exception of maybe folks that are on the far left in America, we don't give a shit about those who are incarcerated. That's why our incarceration problem in this country is so damn bad. Is because most Americans don't give a shit about people who are doing time. Certainly somebody who's in Guantanamo, they don't even give a damn about Americans that are doing time.
I hear you. I'm just saying he's got more baggage to come up from his military past. So that's going to come up. He's Trump light, and people are running from Trump. They're going to have to run from Trump.
If Trump keeps calling him Ron DeSantimonious and attacking him and things like that, wouldn't that help Ron DeSantis remove the Trump-liked label? If Trump is saying all kinds of negative things about Ron DeSantis, assuming Ron DeSantis gets in the race sometime next year, everybody expects Trump, who's running for office right now, to start attacking Ron DeSantis if he becomes a competition. At that point, that would help Ron DeSantis remove that Trump-like tag, don't you think?
Absolutely. But what will happen if Trump is not indicted, what will happen is Ron DeSantis will probably win the nomination. Trump will run as an independent and kill the Republican Party.
Wow. So you believe that if Trump survives his current woes with the DOJ and all of that and continues running, he still would lose to Ron DeSantis?
I think he would probably lose the nomination to Ron DeSantis because I believe that the Republicans are tired of Trump. They're not saying it now. They whisper it behind closed doors, but they're tired of Trump. They're tired of his antics. I don't know why
they need to whisper it up behind closed doors. Right now, the anti-Trump sentiment is probably more popular than the pro-Trump. So why the hell are you whispering something behind closed doors that everybody want to hear? I'll give you the last word.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But, they're whispering behind closed doors, even the midterms. We had Republicans couldn't vote for Trump's backed people. The 11 people that Trump backed. Republicans couldn't do it.
It did look like that in the midterms. But, John, I got to move it on.
Okay, but here's one thing:
Sure.
immigration, corporations, corporations. That's why there's immigration. That
I
is
don't
why
disagree.
it's
I've said
corporations
that
make
before. I've
money.
said that before. Yeah, I've said that before. I don't disagree with that one bit. And they pay off politicians, and that's why the circle continues.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming through,
okay.
John. All right. Uh, Looking in the comments, I know many Republicans who don't want Trump. Tired of his mouth, says Sailor Man. Here's the problem with that, though, and I'll go right back to the box again. But in regards to your comments, Sailor Man, you know plenty of Republicans that are simply tired of Trump's mouth. The way the Republicans are set up is that anytime you start criticizing Trump, you're no longer deemed a Republican. You become a rhino. All of the Republican senators and Republican congresspersons that have ran afoul of Trump, they're referred to as rhinos at this point. So can you actually be a legitimate Republican that states you're tired of Trump? Because right now it appears that the minute you say that shit, you morph into a rhino. So I don't know if you can be a Republican and admit you're tired of Trump, which is what the last caller was suggesting about folks who are saying things behind closed doors. You don't want to come outside and all of a sudden a piece of ivory is growing out of your head because you're changing into a rhino. So they say it behind closed doors. Looking at the box, it is Garnet for life. I don't know what happened there, but let's see if it. Oh shit! TikTok doesn't want to play fair sometimes. We need Capitol Hill exposed, and Trump will do it. Clean the swamp. Billy Mills, in regards to Trump cleaning the swamp, is there any reason after 4 years why it did not happen the first time? I mean, you gave him 4 years to drain the swamp. No swamp creatures have been drained in the making of this administration. And now you want to give him another 4 years to take a swing at the same pitch? What's to say he won't miss the same pitch he missed last time? You know, you're a pitcher, you get up there, you're trying to strike someone out. They don't seem to be able to hit a curveball. Why not throw him another one? What has Trump done to lead you to believe that he's going to drain the swamp on the second go round? A lot of folks would suggest that Trump has been dealing with anti-Trump shit from day one. He couldn't run the country effectively because he's facing impeachments. You know, you got the liberals coming at him. You got Ryan. What do you think is going to happen if he's reelected? You think that stuff is not going to come back? So if he couldn't drain the swamp because of all of this other shit orbiting around him that you want to bring up, you got to realize that stuff will come back with him. Trump has a lot of enemies, whether we're talking Republicans or Democrats. Trump has made a lot of enemies. You think the McCain family in Arizona, you think that has something to do with Kerry Lake losing? Trump has all these enemies, the Mitt Romneys, the Bush family, I mean, the list of enemies for President Trump is endless. The Cheney family now does not like him. So if he comes back in office, the argument that they never gave him a chance from day one is going to apply again. They're just not going to work with the guy. I don't know what happened to my caller in the box, but we'll move it to attacking the ignorance. Let's attacking the ignorance. Good afternoon.
What's up, buddy? What's up?
What's up? Welcome back to the program. We asking this: should the Republicans, would it be in their best interest to abandon Trump and seek a different candidate going forward?
It would be, but they're not going to do it. Look at the people that you're reading in your own chat. The ignorance in regards to what they say and what they believe in regards to Trump being an honest, moral, and ethical man when he's really not.
Well, wait. When you say Trump is not honest, moral, or ethical, I got to ask you to elaborate on that.
Can you point out one ethical, moral, or family value aspect of Trump that has ever been shown in the past 7 years? What has he done ethically?
Well, if you ask folks on the right, they're going to say he's been pro-America. That is definitely ethical from a standpoint of observing the flag, patriotism, and things like that. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
How can he be ethical on that when he is trying to dismantle the Constitution? That in itself is a ridiculous comment. Not meaning you, meaning the comment itself, because that's not what he's done. He has gone against law and order. He tells people to don't listen to subpoenas. He has hidden facts. I mean, these are not ethical or moral aspects of a president, let alone a professional businessman.
Well, I mean, I don't have a lot of devil's advocate for that list of. I mean, I try to play devil's advocate when I can, but what about?
And the thing is, with all the evidence and facts that are coming out, and under oath Republicans saying things, you have his own phone calls, you have memos, you have text messages, you have his own words on stage that he took documents. They're his, they're mine. I took them, yes, they're mine. So he's admitted to crimes. He himself has said things that he has told what he has done, yet people say who love him, no, that's not what he meant. So they try to throw him shade, they try to throw him cover. But yet it's right there in front of their face. They don't care.
What about and by the way, Cornstar, appreciate that. Snowman was beautiful. How do you respond to folks? Okay, Trump has some baggage, but he gave us a good economy. We like the gas prices.
He didn't
we
give
like
us
the
a good
inflation
economy.
rate.
He wrote before.
But that's what they believe.
I understand that, but they also don't. They also don't understand that when a president takes over for another president, the rollover effect. His things don't happen for a good 6 months to a year down the road because he just got in office. So when they say he got the lowest unemployment, President Obama lowered it from 10% to 4.7 when he left. Trump lowered it 1%. Let me ask you a question. What's better, lowering it 6% or lowering it 1%? So when they say that he got the lowest unemployment, yeah, he got the lowest unemployment because Obama got the lowest unemployment to 4.7%. Now he gets to lower it 1.25%. Whoop-de frickin' do.
Well, but when you compare it to Biden, where the economy has been greatly raised, the inflation rate has been raised, they're going to suggest that Trump is better than Biden.
You had Trump, who lost 12.5 million jobs due to the pandemic. He didn't address it correctly. I'm posting the audiobooks of Bob Woodward and what Trump has said about those things. And the thing is this: he knew the pandemic was horrible. He didn't address it. He didn't want to tell the American people. He says it in his own words in the audiobook because he didn't want to lose votes. So he cared more about votes than he cared about life. That's the way it is.
Do you favor Biden at the border? Do you think there's no issue at the border? Or do you believe Biden and Kamala Harris are handling the border issue properly?
There's been an issue at the border for the past 20 years. I've said this before to you. Under Obama, you had John Boehner, who was the Speaker of the House, who held on his desk an agreed upon solution or an attempt to solution to the border. For 511 days, he wouldn't let it come to vote. That would have addressed the border system, the DACA people, and so on and so forth. So, is it when Obama was president, it was at a 50-year low. When Trump took office, it raised to 38%. There's always been an issue. Yeah. Then you have Trump. If you're admitting it's always been an issue for 20 years, why is Biden and Kamala Harris saying the border is secure and it's fine? Because that's what they do. Is everybody points fingers at everybody else who's in power if it's not working for them. That's what they're doing now. That's what they did with Obama. Obama, when they first took office. Go ahead.
So you're admitting that what Biden is doing is lying. He's playing politics and just saying it because that's what they do.
No, what I'm saying is there's an issue at the border, and Biden's doing the best he can with what he has. I mean, he did get Mexico to give $1.5 billion for border security. Trump didn't get any money from Mexico. Trump lied about that, like he told the people he would get Mexico to pay for the wall. And the thing is, there's issues there. But the Republicans don't want to address it. The Republicans want to take away programs. Everybody wants to stop people from coming into America. The thing is, the people who do come in here, they want them removed. It doesn't matter how they come. They don't care if they're legal or illegal. They don't want them here.
Any idea why, with so much fanfare about what's going on at the border, any idea why neither Biden or Kamala has been down there anytime recently?
No, I think that's just ignorance, in my opinion, with what they do.
Okay. All
You know,
right. So,
the thing is this. We blame Biden. We'll hold Biden accountable. Trump lovers don't want to hold Trump accountable, no matter what he
I
says.
agree with that.
No
Okay,
matter
I
what he
agree with
says.
that.
No matter what he says. No matter what he does. No how many lies. No matter what he cheats or how he cheats. They just want him because they. I've made that statement before. They don't care. They want a dictator. They want a dictator. They don't care that he
No.
cheated. It's come out that he has cheated in the election. You have 6 states that try to put fake electors. They don't care about that. They want Trump because who knows why. It's a Jim Jones cult
Well,
that
I don't want to make that huge leap, but I will say this. Despite how we may feel about Trump, the man is entitled to his day in court. He has not been.
I liked him before he got into president. That's the thing. But with the lies that he's done, that's what made people hate him. I liked him.
Yeah.
I admire him. You know, but
I
the
don't
thing,
think it. Well, I don't think Trump has said a lot of things, in my opinion, that are dishonest. But I don't think it's the lies that hurt Trump. I think it's the attacks and the rhetoric. You can schmooze and lie about shit in a jokey manner, even locker room talk stuff. You can lie and schmooze and as they say, floss in the rap community.
hey,
We get
hey,
that, but when you
hey,
start
handsome,
insulting people and things like that, I think that's what got him.
handsome. I played Double A baseball for the Angels. I traveled across country. We didn't talk like that in the locker room.
Neither did I. I've been,
Uh,
I've done amateur stuff here and there, and I never bragged about raping somebody in the locker room. So I do
right,
agree with
exactly.
that part.
Or bragging that he walked into the dressing rooms of naked underage teens.
Wow. I got to move it on.
All right,
Yeah.
bro.
All
I
right.
love
Good
your
talk.
show, man. I love your show.
Appreciate it. Come on back to anytime.
All
Go
right,
ahead
guys.
and click your drop on the boxes. My thing is not working right over here. So
I
go ahead
got
and
you.
drop out.
I
Come on
got
back
your.
anytime.
I got.
All right. Get in the comments. We can't keep taking shots at each other. We got to unite ideas. Well, what does that say? It's Booger the Unflickable. The name is off the chain. Booger the Unflickable. In regards to uniting in any ideas, it's got to come from the top. It has got to come from the top. So, regardless of how you feel about Biden or DeSantis, you cannot support a commander in chief that makes up nicknames. And I'm not excluding Biden because he has this ultra mega speech in red and all of that. That was not very unifying either. So, if I can get this damn device right, but you can't support a commander in chief that likes to attack people. Obviously, the difference between the attacks launched by Biden compared to Trump are like night and day. Trump is firing off attacks like a Gatling gun, whereas Biden is doing it like a musket. But at the same time, you cannot endorse that. So if you want unity, it has to start from the top. You can have the people at the bottom unite all they want, but if division is coming from the top, division is what we're going to have. Looking at the box, it is unnecessary violence. I love names. Wow. Unnecessary violence if TikTok lets you in here. The box is just all screwed up over here. Unnecessary. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Trying to ask the question with Trump potentially facing charges from the January 6th hearings recommendation to the DOJ. Is it in the best interest of Republicans to abandon Trump and potentially find a better candidate going forward?
That's a really hard question to say. And it has to deal with a lot of the in the beginning of his presidency, the witch hunt that ensued against Trump. There's a lot of, and personally, that's what I mean. I would like to just start there. It just seems like people will abandon him, then come back to him, then abandon him again, then come back to him. It's just there, and then he has people that have stood by him through the whole thing. And I think those people that stood by him through the whole thing, his closest supporters, whether they be Democrat or Republican, I believe they should do their due diligence for what's justice. Whatever, like you said, he does deserve his day in court. I don't think he should be abandoned. Nobody deserves to be abandoned, regardless of what they've done or what people think they've done or what
or anything like that. We live in a country where we base our moralities off of the idea that we can bring things to justice, that we can have our days in court, that we can prove whether we were guilty or not guilty. And in that, that's a beautiful thing. Look at a lot of these third world countries where.
That is the reason I'm asking the question. It was because even if, let's say, Trump is completely innocent and ultimately is acquitted, all of that will be going on in the middle of him running for office. So we don't know if he's using money to operate his defense fund, where you're donating money hoping he wins re-election. You don't know if that money is going to lawyers or whatever. I'm asking the question: would it be a good idea for him to step back as opposed to having these two conflicting things going on and let someone else run for office?
I would say no, because it doesn't matter what he does. People are always going to try to get at him. There's always going to be conflict with that. It's a very hot button issue. I personally think with the way that the world is, I mean, it's like this. The proof is in the pudding. I mean, food costs has gone up, gas costs has gone up. Gas costs has just recently gone down, but we also sold our reserves to China recently. Yeah. A lot of people, the information is out there, but the problem is the news companies are more willing to do news broadcasts on little dumb local things instead of the broad picture, like we used to. When you see it like 20 years ago, you would watch the news. They would report the news, and nowadays they more or less report the news, but it's what it seems like they were told to report. And if you look,
so your belief though is the Republicans should stick with Trump going forward.
I would say yeah, because it's who else do they have? What better of an example do we have than a person who was willing to not take the presidential pay the first time around? I mean, he completely denied that. I mean, and the man has enough money to where if he needed to, he could pay his lawyers out of his own pocket. I don't think there should be a lot of fear that he'll misuse the money. I think the fear is that we get mistreated by our own, our own news corporations and our own local affiliates, because everybody's so quick to look at opinion over fact.
So let me ask you this: if DeSantis got in the race and he also was going against Trump, and it was DeSantis and Trump in the primary, who would you go with?
Personally, I mean, I would go with Trump personally, and that's just me, because I looked very closely at what he was doing during his presidency. Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There were certain things that made me uncomfortable, but I'm a firm believer. This might sound kind of left field, but I'm a firm believer Trump was using the Nixon tactic to get what he needed to get done. Now this is just a theory, but the Nixon tactic, as he would in the public eye look and be just weird or out there or almost seemingly crazy, but in the meantime, behind closed doors, he would focus on getting stuff done. So it would be a way to get the world's prying eyes off of him while he would get stuff done. And that's a tactic that was around during the Nixon administration. But I personally believe that Trump did that.
Is that a smart tactic to pattern yourself after somebody who went out as bad as Nixon?
Well, no, I'm not necessarily that it might be not a smart tactic, but I mean, if you look at it, like the first couple weeks of his presidency, immediately the media started to hate him. Seems like every story right after that was about Trump, against Trump, or for him.
Why do you believe the minute Trump got in office, the media started hating him?
I think it's because I think personally he did it to himself so that he could get things done behind closed doors.
So he deliberately sabotaged himself to get things done behind closed doors? That's what you're telling me?
That it's just a theory, but it's called that's the Nixon tactic. It's to get the world's prying eyes off of you. The less people that you have that are watching you like a magnifying glass, the more you can get done.
Yeah, but when you look at Trump's promise to repeal and replace Obamacare, you look at his promise to drain the swamp, or his promise to build a wall or be surrounded by the best and brightest. Did he actually get a lot done?
You know, 4 years, in 4 years, it's hard to get everything done, especially with, I mean, look at it like this. With our local government agencies, you know, there was, I'm pretty sure it was in Baltimore, but there was this local park, right? And this park, it took 3 years for them to get the money together to build this restroom on one side of the park. Well, a private company built the opposite restroom on the opposite side of the park, and it only took 6 months. Trump is not a politician. He's a private businessman. It took a private man to come in and then had to deal with political, agendas and different things to get around. It was a whole new ball game. Yeah, he was prepared, but personally, I think it was like this. He got in and he got what he needed to get done, and he let his actions speak for himself.
I don't get how you could suggest he got what he needed to get done when he didn't complete the wall, he didn't repeal and replace Obamacare, he didn't drain the swamp. His core promises were not met.
No, that's true. That's true, but the seeds were sown. And it sounds crazy, but you don't elect the president. You don't elect the president to seed sow. I mean, that sounds like you're out having sex, dropping seeds. True. I'm fine with that, but you do the job to accomplish goals, not to seed sow. That's seeds. True. Yeah, but look at how many presidencies accomplished more in 8 years than 4 years. He only had 4 years to get it done. And then at the end of his presidency, the most crucial time where most presidents are solidifying their policies and the bills that they've passed, COVID happened, and he had to deal with that.
Okay, I got to move it on, but I'll give you the last word. You said he got more done in 4 than most do in 8. Give me some of the achievements of Trump in those 4 years.
Chinese tariffs. The first president in years to issue tariffs on China. On top of that, he was also the first president, I believe it was Taiwan. He called Taiwan as right after his presidency, the first president to reach out to foreign diplomats in years. Close ties with Russia, which also helped strengthen our relationship over European borders. We also see that the way that he dealt with Kim Jong-un and how he dealt with.
Wait, let me interrupt you. When I say give me some of his accomplishments, if you reach out to Russia and then the moment you leave, they're attacking Ukraine, or you reach out to Kim Jong-un and the moment he goes back home, he's lobbing missiles. How is that an accomplishment?
If you look at all of those things, there was a lot of stuff that happened right after he got out of presidency. And now that Biden's in charge, all these things are happening. Like you said, we have all these different conflicts in these foreign countries. But see, if it was the case that he wasn't doing anything to stop those from happening, why didn't they occur more often during his presidency than they are now in the Biden administration? We have more conflict in this administration than we did in the Trump administration by at least 2 times as much.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't know what deals are being made behind the scenes, whereas Trump was able to, under the Trump administration, you're right, Russia did not encroach into Ukraine. That's not to say that they weren't planning it, but they didn't do it. Kim Jong-un, I'm not going to pretend like Kim Jong-un was well behaved under the Trump administration. He was not. He just didn't do it as much, but he certainly was not acting like a friend of the U.S. or anything. So I don't see any accomplishment in regards to bringing Kim Jong-un to the White House. I don't see anything that we got out of that other than maybe he cooled down for a year. That's not much of an accomplishment.
No, that's true. I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. And I appreciate you doing this show. Thank you so much for allowing people a platform to discuss and talk about stuff like this.
Hey, good talk. You're welcome back anytime, man. Unnecessary violence. My door's always open to you. In the comments, Sicilians are rattlesnakes. What the hell? You guys post some of the interesting shit. Okay, exactly. And he would have continued to cool. Miss Beans, if you want to suggest that Kim Jong-un was acting cooler under Trump and he would have continued doing so if Trump was reelected, even if that is true, the max Trump could be in office is for 4 more years. If you can cool somebody down that turns right back into an asshole when you leave office, that's not an accomplishment. Because in America, we don't have dictators. You only get a max of 8 years. We have to make deals that are contingent on the long term, not just while you're in office. That's not a good deal. If you can, like, let's say Trump was successful in building a wall and it got torn down the minute he leaves office, then that's not an accomplishment. Accomplishments are making deals that last. That is the difference between executive orders and doing things with the cooperation of Congress. An executive order can be wiped out by the next guy, which is exactly what Trump did to a lot of Obama's executive orders, and now Biden has done to a lot of Trump's executive orders. All of that shit is temporary. That's not an accomplishment. That's a Band-Aid. Looking in the comments. Michael Jordan, I don't know about that, created more than 1.2 million manufacturing and construction jobs. Now, that is an accomplishment, but I believe the pandemic wiped a lot of that out. If DeSantis gets the nominee, do you think Trump will go third party? Neil Sublet, I'm going to say probably at least 50-50. I don't feel confident by any stretch of the imagination that if DeSantis wins the nomination and beats Trump, that Trump would concede and step back. There is no way in hell I feel confident saying that would happen. So would Trump actually create a third party? Highly possible. At least a 50% chance. That's my opinion. Looking at the box, it is Emily. Let's see. Makes it happen. Good afternoon, Emily. Welcome to the program.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're asking if the Republicans should abandon Trump going forward now that he's possibly facing criminal prosecution.
Well, first of all, thank you for your middle of the road stance to allow every side to come in.
I appreciate it.
It's definitely refreshing on here. Yeah, I come from a family. We're split. It's a small family. My brother-in-law is a Republican and has actually run for Attorney General of the state of Maryland in 2018. And my sister and I are Democrats, and my children are Democrats too, and her children too are Republicans. So we are split.
That's got to be an interesting Thanksgiving dinner.
We don't discuss it, and we still love one another. So,
fair enough. All right.
It's been trying at times, but pretty much we just, we don't discuss it. However, I do not think out of the 3 Republicans in the family, I don't think any of them are Trump supporters.
But were they Trump supporters in 16 and 20?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
When he ran for Attorney General in 2018, he was we're in Maryland, so we're in a deep blue state here.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. Yeah,
and
that may have a lot to do with it.
Right. It was a tough climb up the ladder. He does not hold Trump's beliefs, and he did not run, obviously, in Maryland on a Trump campaign. It would not have been beneficial.
Right.
I do feel
it would be safe to assume that they probably believe that the Republican Party should abandon Trump because they were never on the Trump train to begin with.
No, they were not. His 2 children and as well as himself, no, they were not.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this as a liberal from a state that really is right next door to Biden's home state. Do you believe Biden should run again in 24?
I have such mixed feelings on this. I do believe he's getting up there, and so that question's getting up there. He's up there. that brings into question what do the next 4 years look like, and who is his running mate? And so I would have to have some of those questions answered.
Let's say Kamala Harris remains on the ticket as his running mate.
I do love her, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I fear that it won't be enough.
So who else do you believe going forward from the Democratic Party would be a good selection to step up and take the reins?
I'm not sure we have anyone
That's
right now.
frightening.
And
That
it
is
is
frightening.
frightening. It is frightening. Yeah, I'm just not sure we have. Pete Buttigieg comes to mind, but are we that progressive? I don't think we are.
You got Malou in the comments saying she's disappointing me. Obviously, sounds like he's a liberal. You're disappointed. What about Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I do like Gavin Newsom. I do. I like him. I just feel everything is so we're so shredded and we're so divided. Who do you put up? And
so we got a candidate that has won done well in the midterms. In fact, historically well in the midterms, but we think he's too old to run, and we don't know who the replacement is. We sound like we don't have our own affairs in order at this
we
point.
don't. I really need a lot of questions answered. Um, I do say, as far as Biden is concerned, I do think he has done a lot for this country, a lot more in 4 years than anyone ever anticipated going into this.
I gotta ask you, and I have to ask you this for the MAGA viewers here. This is a MAGA friendly program,
Yes.
even though liberals.
Yep.
When you say Biden has accomplished a lot in 4 years, you gotta elaborate on it. What has Biden accomplished for the viewers at home? What has Biden accomplished in your opinion?
Am I there? Am I still?
Oh no! Did she drop out? Oh no!
No. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
No,
You would have
I'm
never lived that down. You would have never
no,
lived that down.
no. I won't run, and I'll take my lumps.
Okay. What has
So
Biden accomplished?
Infrastructure bill that went through. He just signed the bill, and this is an important one for me as a gay woman. That solidifies that, and gay marriage is now intact.
Yeah.
I am of the belief that the economy has turned around under Biden, but I also, to give a nod to the other side. Well, I guess this isn't a nod to the other side. There really was nowhere else for it to go. Now, was there? I mean, coming off.
But you're giving Biden a good check mark on the economy.
Can I give him a slash, like a hyphen on the economy? Neither an X nor a check mark, but a hyphen.
Incomplete. You're giving him an
I'll
incomplete.
give him an incomplete. Yes. Can I do
Okay.
that? Yeah.
The border.
The border doesn't. For me, the border. I am not one of the opinion who feels that these people largely are coming over illegally. Yes, I think there are illegals, but I don't think that's largely the problem. And as far as illegals go, if that's what's happening, it needs to be stopped. If it's not being stopped, then we have a problem.
Okay. Last question before I move it on. He was elected because of the division of Trump. I want his grade on unity. How has he been in regards to unifying the country after Trump?
No, we're not. We're not. So a C. That's how I feel. I mean, and what I wanted to originally ask you is, because you've taken this middle road platform on TikTok, how do we all get back to the middle? How do we bridge the divide? How do we get rid of some of this ugliness? Where does
Go
it
to war.
start? Going
Go to
forward.
war.
Go to war.
I don't
Go to
know. In
war.
regards, you go to war. Other
So
than a war, I would say probably, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. MAGA friendly program, no banning, no blocking, no censoring here. In regards to unity, I would suggest it all, like I said earlier in the broadcast, it has to start at the top. So any candidate that's running a platform, left or right, that is based on name calling and all of that type of stuff, we have to get together. We have to come together and really uh, ostracize ourselves from those candidates. Kind of like what has happened recently with Trump. When he said Ron DeSanctimonious, that response that he received, that's how all candidates should be treated when they start making up nicknames. That's how you get unity, is to stick to the issues and get away from the personal attacks. In recent time, we have moved too much into the personal attack category. There was a time in history when Senator Biden reached across the aisle and worked with Newt Gingrich to balance the budget. That's how it used to be. We could have conversations like you and I, and folks
right.
on the app here. But when you
Sure.
start talking about people's moms, their hand size, and all of that, like with John McCain and Trump, where it's personal, you're not going to get any unity out of that. So we got to get away from the personal attacks and go back to the actual issues.
I'm seeing a lot of comments where they're saying you're never going to get Trumpers and Bidens together.
That could be true. That could be
It
true.
could be true, and then nothing will ever get accomplished in this country unless we get rid of the two major systems that we have now. I mean, progress happens, things get accomplished when you come together in the middle. And if we can't get back to that, we got to give a little, they got to give a little, we got to give up a little, and they've got to give up a little. So if we can't do that, what happens? What happens to our country, our beautiful, beautiful country?
It could lead to civil unrest. Emily, I got to move it on, though.
Go, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Absolutely a pleasure. Yeah, now I seen someone in the comments are going by fast, but it said, I don't want any part of leftist ideology. Well, we also, on the left, we have to separate ourselves from some of our ideology that we know damn well is not very popular nationwide, such as the defund the police movement. Fortunately, most folks of prominence in the left side of the aisle in the Democratic Party are not fans of defund the police. Many folks on the left realize how toxic the defund the police movement was, but there are policies on the left that lead individuals, like in the comments that said, I don't want anything to do with left wing. I would submit another one that may be unpopular for me to say, but this is a free speech program. Like I said, I'll put you in the box. I always let folks state their opinions without any fear of censorship or banning or blocking. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter if you agree with the host or not. Nobody gives a damn about that. But I strongly believe, and it's, like I said, it may not be popular for me to say this, but the LGBT community has taken things a bit far in some areas that is also not conducive to unity. Now, I've said it before, like, for instance, if you had a politician running for office, the L, the G, and the B has a chance of maintaining public office in America. I don't think this country has rotated to the point where they're really ready to embrace the T and all the other letters after that. L, G, and B have become far more mainstream. All of the letters after that are stepping up to stake their claim. I'm not saying that they should not be recognized. I'm not saying that anyone should be prevented from living the life they choose. But right now, at this point in America, the country is not there yet. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be. We are progressing more in that direction, but the LGBT movement is pushing harder than the country is willing to move. So the Democratic Party is taking the shellacking from that, because they assume everyone in the party. Same thing with the defund the police. It's only a very small fraction of the Democratic Party. Same thing with socialism. Most Democrats are not in favor of embracing full-blown socialism. But these are great terms for the right to demonize the party with. No different than you get some of the racist rhetoric from the Nick Fuentes, the Kanye West and Candace Owens types on the right, and the left takes and demonizes the entire party with that. Even though there's a lot of members on the right that do not embrace Nick Fuentes or some of these people. So that's kind of how the politics works, and unfortunately, it's hard to acquire unity with that type of shit orbiting around. Going to the box, it is Timothy Wilmoth. If the TikTok gods will love. Good afternoon, Timothy. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. A man of my very own name. So should Trump be abandoned by the Republican Party for their best interest? Do you think that's a good idea or something they should entertain?
That is a damn good question. I think it's something that should entertain just a little bit because of he's overstepping in a lot of areas right now.
Elaborate. Give me some examples.
Well, he was talking about getting rid of the Constitution.
Yeah. That's really yeah, no argument there.
You know, that's just not something that we should do. I mean, and now they're pinning January 6th on him. He had nothing to do with that.
Well, but I have to ask you, in regards to January 6th, without Trump suggesting that the election was taken from him, would that have had happened?
Probably not. But you cannot control people's actions. People are going to do what they want to do, regardless of what people say.
Yeah, but if you invite let's say, for instance, you don't like me, you know where I live at, and you tell a bunch of people that I'm drinking the blood of infants or I'm abusing children or something. You invite them all to my house to supposedly have a peaceful protest. But you know these people are really for the protection of children. You're speaking to them about things you think that I've done, and you can see the anger. They've even got a gallows saying we want to hang the handsome liberal. Now let's go to his back porch and I'll join you. You don't think that something might happen?
Yeah, something's going to happen, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what took place.
Yeah, but I say I can't control what the other people are going to do. You know, even if I'm revving them up and I'm explaining to them, you know, this is what he's doing, I still can't control that. If they go to you and they do what they want to do, I can't control that.
No, you can't control it, but what about inciting it? Can you incite people to do things that are bad?
Yeah, you can.
You don't see any incitement from Trump there that day? Let's have trial by combat. I mean, when Giuliani, who is a keynote speaker for Trump, gets up there and says, "Let's have trial by combat." You don't see any incitement from doing that, and people are chanting like it's an episode of 300.
Yeah, you're right, but it's still. He didn't tell them. They could have prepared when they told them to storm the Capitol. When he said that. I think that the other parties had a lot to do with that because have you ever been to DC?
Many times, yes.
I almost got shot walking to the White House.
Damn.
Me and my wife and my kids were up there, and we wanted to go see. This is when Obama was in office.
Okay.
I stepped off of the sidewalk to ask one of the guards if he was in. He pulls his gun and tells me to get my ass back on the sidewalk.
So, but I don't get your point. How are you saying that the other side had something to do with January 6th?
Just like the BLM, we all know the Democrats had to do with BLM. We know that they incited him to do that because they did it for 6 months. And apparently, according to BLM, no more black people are getting shot and killed by cops because they're not out protesting. They're not out protesting right now. They're not out burning. They're
No,
not out
no.
robbing.
Let me. In regards to BLM and protesting blacks getting shot by cops, there is a chant that is referred to as "No justice, no peace." They don't chant blacks getting shot by cops. If a person shoots an African American, let's say it's a white cop shoots a black guy, and they immediately arrest a white cop and he's put on trial. There's no protest. The protest is because they're deeming all of this stuff justified, or in the case of Derek Chauvin with George Floyd, doing nothing at all, despite a clear video for like 4 or 5 continuous days. So it ain't that they're doing it just because somebody got shot. They're doing it because there's nothing being done as a result.
So nothing like that is going on in the country anymore.
You're breaking up. Say that again.
I said nothing like that is going on in the United States anymore. Nothing that happened with George Floyd and nothing like that is happening with the police department anywhere in the country.
Okay, unfortunately,
all police are under control right now.
No, absolutely not. The fact, I don't think there's a lot of it being caught on camera, but yeah, and I would dare say to you, there probably are Black Lives Matter movements that are going on that are on a smaller scale. I say this all the time when folks talk about how violent Black Lives Matter protests and how they're burning cities. Every town in America that has over 70,000, a population of 70,000 or greater, has had at least one Black Lives Matter protest, which shows you how many of them are actually been peaceful. They don't make the news. But I would submit to you that that's still happening. It's just on a smaller scale. The media isn't covering it because it's not a horrendous death like George Floyd. But even some of the smaller stuff, maybe a cop robbed somebody or maybe he pinned some evidence, Black Lives Matter is still active. It's just nothing really horrible that has come out recently.
Well, now let me ask you something. Do you think that they're not covering it because it's not close to election time?
No, it's not covering it because it's not big news. If a cop comes down the street right now and asks me to get out of my car and bust the window and drag me out, it'll be covered in my local news. That's not a big enough story. Now, if he walks up and blasts, shoots my head into the next car, yeah, that might make news. It's not a big enough story. I don't think it's just election time oriented. I think it's also how big the death is. How much of it is on camera, for instance. All of that takes, because if a person with a criminal record, or better yet, even without a criminal record, if a black person walks in and says police are mistreating them, nobody gives a damn about that. It's when they can present actual video footage and things like that. There are black people complaining about being mistreated by police all over this country, particularly in the penal system, but there's no video. It's when there's video of it that it gets all that attention.
Yeah, when a celebrity gets involved.
I mean, a celebrity does help, but I don't remember any major celebrities getting involved in the George Floyd case in the beginning. I mean, LeBron James and all them make comments, but I think the video of how George Floyd lost his life, or Armand, whatever the guy named Ahmad down in Georgia where he's running and the guy's in a pickup, you don't always necessarily need celebrities if the video is strong enough by itself. Like in the George Zimmerman case, there was no video, so Al Sharpton went down there and things like that. But when you can see a man getting killed on camera and he's pleading for his mom and shit like that, do you really need a celebrity?
No, but if I can't breathe, I can't talk.
That's not true, and I've heard that before. I could put you underwater, and you can still expel words. The only difference is you can't inhale, so you're not functionally taking in more oxygen. But to actually talk, all you need to be able to do is expel air out of your lungs. You can do that underwater. And I know you're not breathing.
I know I've been choked out several times and I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't talk.
Okay. Well, I don't think that when George Floyd was losing his life, I don't think it was the equivalent of being choked out. I think his diaphragm was being compressed as opposed to your larynx or your esophagus. I don't think it was on his neck. I think it was his whole diaphragm on his chest being compressed. And I would dare say you still could utter some words. I mean, you could be being choked out without a complete loss of oxygen. You could just have a reduction in oxygen so that the blacking out takes place over a longer period of time. It doesn't have to be a complete loss of oxygen.
Yeah. Well, I have to agree to disagree.
Okay. Well, I don't have access to the full case. I'm not a coroner. I'm only going to go with the people who actually had access to his body that performed the autopsy. They said the man died that way. I got to go with them.
But see, there's two different. One said that he died that way, but there's another one that's going around saying that he died of fentanyl overdose.
I haven't seen anyone in open court testify under oath where they could be charged with perjury state that he died of fentanyl. Anybody that said that was not under oath. That's just like the Candace Owens video. She's not under oath. She can say any damn thing she wants to. I'm talking about people who raised their right hand where they could actually get found in contempt. They said the man died a different way. I got to go with them.
Oh, all right. Well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
They're trying to get justice for him now. You know, they wanting to sue the police. What about the people that he harassed? The woman that was pregnant, he held a gun to her belly and said he'd kill the kid. Do you think they have a right to go after him?
No, because they did go after him. He was given 20 years in prison, or not 20 years. Well, he did a few years in prison for that. He was given time. He paid his debt to society on that. That's like if I go out and beat the hell out of somebody, I get 10 years in prison, whatever restitution. And when I get out of prison 5 years later, the cops shoot me. And the person that I beat up 15 years ago, no, you had your day in court back in the 90s. It's over with. Did I lose you?
Okay. No, I'm here.
Okay. So that's all I'm saying. No, you mean
all right.
At some point, I think that's the problem we have with our penal system now, is that we want to infinitely punish the bad guys. At some point, you have to let people move on. I mean, she can't pop up 15, 20 years later going after the guy who's already served prison time for the crime, been through probation and parole court, and now is a free man on the street. I mean, she had her day in court. He was found guilty and did time for that.
All right, I'm gonna have to do a little more investigating on that, because I just don't think it was. I think he did a whole lot more. I'll be looking into it. It's good talking to you again, man.
Hey, come on back. We can always discuss it again. All right. In the comments, guess is just expelling Fox talking points. Oh, I don't know. From the problem with, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we were talking about racism and things like that in unity. Oftentimes, the problem when it comes to racial unrest is that there is an instant, for lack of a better term, there's an instant urging to deny it existed. That's the problem. A lot of times when these guys are killed by police, even when it's on video, the first urge is to say that I need to see more of the tape, or what happened earlier, or, what happened the day before, or something like that, where we don't give the victim the benefit of the doubt that they were actually victimized. It's always, there had to be something that the victim did to deserve losing their life or the ass beating that they acquired. So it is difficult to get to the bottom of some of these cases when we always tend to want to believe that the victim had to have been justified in being victimized. I mean, the very first day George Floyd's video came out, there were people suggesting that he was not killed by police and it was something else, fentanyl or some other drug in his system. Even though you're looking at the guy on the man's back, on the back of a very live, active guy, and getting off the back of a guy who was completely unconscious and flailing around and deceased. You watch the guy literally go from full of life to nothing in front of your face, and the suggestion is there had to be something that happened to him before what I'm actually watching that killed him. I don't know how else to say that. I don't know where else to go with that. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate you guys rolling with your boy. As always, I am on a lunch break live. You could be anywhere you want to be on social media, on TikTok. The fact that you're rolling with your boy is always an honor. I make it clear this is a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests. Liberals are welcome as well. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. Appreciate you guys that are following the program. Helps out the algorithm. Show your boy some love. 30,000 likes would be possible if your thumbs would not be lazy. Tap the screen. We'll go right back to the box. It is, there's no way I'm going to pronounce this name, but we'll just say Talitha. Okay. Not going to be to pronounce that. Talitha. If it lets you in, let's see here. I don't know. The TikTok gods are not really good with letting me bring folks to the box. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, folks, I will catch you guys on the next broadcast. I'm going to go ahead and terminate it because it does seem like something's wrong here with the box. But appreciate you guys rolling with me. Catch you on the next one.